Yeah.
So you have some tips and advices for anybody who wants to perfect their English?
Yeah, sure, I do. I think I will start by saying that if I am the one who is speaking English today, then it means that anyone can speak English in a way that he or she wants. Why? Because a person who never been to French school and succeed in making two ends meet by speaking English, uh, I think it should be easy for the other people to make it.
And I think also if you already grasp the nuances of French, it's actually easier to get English because
Yes.
there are less complexities in the grammar, the vocabulary, and just overall English is an easier language to grasp.
Yeah, definitely it is because even if you see, for example, there are many words in English. I think there is a writer who said that more than 10,000 words in English, it is exactly the same in French, the same writing, the same meaning. The only thing that is changing is the pronunciation. For example, important, important, excellent, excellent. You see, interesting, interesting, international, international. So the only thing that is changing, it is the pronunciation. So it means that people who have the open I mean who have the I mean the chance to go to French school, they are very lucky to become very good at English if they understand in that way. So generally we are in a in a French speaking country. Many people thinking that English is difficult. Some people say no, it's not difficult, but in fact English is not difficult, especially for those who have been to French school. English cannot be difficult for those people because they already have the basic of the language, which is what they know how to write, they know how to read, and most of the words they are the same. The only thing that is changing is the pronunciation. For example, me, when I went to learn English, I was doing maybe 4 or 3 effort. For example, first of all, how to write, how to spell the word, how to pronounce the word, you see, and how to read. In fact, people who have been to French school, they will not have all these problems. They have only one problem, which they're going to make effort, is that how to pronounce the word. You see, that's why I start by saying that if ever it's me who speak English today, it means that any other person can speak English, especially when you are in a French speaking country. You see? So then it's very important for people to understand that the language is not a very difficult language. Once you learn it, you will be able to speak it. And then I will start by saying that why I'm saying that things is because if you really want to be good at the language, which is English, first of all, you must be free. Why free? Because, Mr. Gabar, the language is very free.
Hmm.
So you, the person who going to learn the language, you have to be free in order to go with the language because the language itself is very free. That's the first things. If you are not free, then you cannot be good at the language. And the second things is the language is cheeky. So you, the person, you have to be cheeky because the language itself is very cheeky. So if you're not cheeky, then you will not, to pronounce the word in a very nice way. Because you see the way the language is, even you, when you're speaking it, people looking at you, they can feel that you are a person who is very cheeky. It's not because of you, but it's because of the language. It is naturally extracted by, like that.
And I think also like there's this thing in English where your accent gives character to the way you speak. Then you can have someone with an Indian accent, Australian accent,
Yeah.
and it just kind of adds to the language that you're speaking. It's not devaluating the way you speak. So you kind of like empower yourself through your identity, through your accent to speak English.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Definitely.
thinks
Yeah.
it's a barrier that's not maybe in French when you have an accent people are going to
Yeah.
be mocking you and all that, but not
Yeah.
really in English.
Yeah.
Someone can speak with a Chinese accent to someone who has an Indian accent and they're still gonna understand each other and be able to exchange.
Yeah, yeah, and also people have to put in their mind also. They when you learn in the language, you must be in an environment where you can speak English. So we know that it's not easy because we are in a French-speaking country. Most of the people is speaking French or Wolof or other local languages. So then you, the person who learning the language, what you have to do is anyone that you see and you know that person is speaking the language, don't hesitate to talk with that person in English, even though your English is not good. Don't care about that things. What you care is that you have seen an opportunity where you can practice the language. Just go ahead. Don't hesitate to do it. Practice with no problem. because it's not easy, to see people speaking the language. So that's something very good. And then the fourth one will be that don't be complex, because English is not complex. So you, the person who learning the language, you have to be free, as I said, and cheeky. Don't be complex. The language is not complex. Then do not put in your mind about complexity. It's not good. And then the last tips will be, never afraid of making mistake.
Exactly.
Yes, never afraid of making mistake. It's very important. Don't worry about people, and don't worry about the mistake that you're making. Because what I believe in life is that, today you make mistake, people correct you. Tomorrow you make another mistake, people correct you. After tomorrow again you make another mistake, people correct you. One day you will come back and start correcting people. This is how life it is. It's not only English, but life is all about this. Whenever you're learning something, before you become good at the things, of course you will be making some mistake from time to time, but those mistakes are just making you to be stronger, to be better in what you are doing. It's normal to make mistake. You are just a human being like everybody. The language is not your mother tongue. It is a language that you are learning. So while learning it, if you make mistake, it's acceptable with no problem. Just be open and make the mistake. People correct you. You make it again and again. People correct you. When you become correcting people, you will really understand this is the way. But always remember that. Be free, be cheeky, don't be complex, and don't be afraid of making mistake. Because this is the only thing that can help you, the learner, to improve the language by practicing it. Because they saying that practice makes perfect. And I'm saying practice makes better. You see? So then it's very important to understand that and be focused. In any language that you are learning in life, once you are practicing it, the things will become easier in your mouth. You can see many Senegalese people, they say that I'm not good at English. But, generally they are good. Why I say that? Because they are good at writing, or they are good at reading, they are good at listening. But when it comes to speaking, they say I'm not good. Why? It's simply because they don't have the habit of speaking the language. But it doesn't mean that they are not good. So I think someone who, are good at these three things, which is the writing, reading, and listening. And the fourth one is the speaking, which is the most important. You see? So the only way that can help that person to be good at the language is to practice. Practicing means speaking with anyone that as I said.
And I think it's also important to find people you're comfortable speaking with, making mistakes, and who can correct you, so that you feel more at ease with speaking English, and you'll make the mistakes maybe and realize them and correct them before maybe being on a bigger stage where you have that pressure of not making mistakes. So I think it's really good to find somebody who can correct you and who you can speak English to.
Yeah, it's true. It's very important. That thing is important. But we, especially we Senegalese people, we have a habit which is not good, that I don't appreciate, which is what we Senegalese people generally, when someone make mistake, they want to laugh at the person or to mock at the person, and that's not good. Someone who learning a language, it means that person is not good yet. Yeah. So if that person make mistake, you have to correct the person.
Exactly, because they're going to make fun of you but not correct you.
Exactly, in a very nice way. But if you laugh at the person, or you mock at the person, or you tease the person, you might, demoralize the person to learn the language. That's why you see many Senegalese people, especially the students, for example, you can see many of them, they are in higher levels, but they're not good at French. Why? Because they are afraid of speaking the language. It's simply because whenever they make mistake, people laugh at them. At the end of the day, they're afraid of speaking the language in front of people, because they always put in their mind that they are not good at the language. So whenever they speak it, they will make mistake. So once they make mistake, people will laugh at them. So because of that things, it can make many people, not to be good at the language that they are learning. So now it is up to us to understand, especially between students who learning, to understand that you the one who is excellent, or you the teacher, or whoever you are, to understand that people who are not good at the language, you don't have to criticize them or laugh at them. Yeah. It's not normal, because yourself, before you become a teacher or before you become good at the language, you were making mistake, and people help you until you reach the level that you are. So whenever you see someone who is speaking the language, whether it is English or another language, the person is making mistake, you always have ways to correct the person without looking him or her down. You see, while making the person comfortable, and you give him more courage to practice and speak it. From that things, many people will be able to speak the language in a very proper way without being ashamed.
Do you think? Do you think? How do you say them? I often see commercials, advertisement for groups to speak English, as in people who get together to better their English. Do you think that those kind of gatherings can help maybe someone improve their English?
Yeah, sure. It can be. It's like English clubs or some business English things. I
couldn't find the term.
I see. But those things help a lot, Mr. Gabara. I'm sure if you ask many people who is speaking good English nowadays, if you ask them, they will say, okay, I was taking part of English clubs. That's why my English is good. Because in English clubs, they kill your shyness and they kill your complicity. They make you to be free. You see? They make you also to be comfortable while you speak in the language. So in English clubs, it can help people a lot to become good at the language, because it is the only place where you can be for 1 hour or 2 hours just speaking only English. So if you're doing that things very often, of course, you will be excellent at the language. So now, if you don't have the opportunity of going to the English clubs, anyone that you know, like Gabar or me or someone else that you know that person is speaking the language, so try to do your best. Whenever you talk to the person on the phone, you speak English. Whenever you text in, you text in English. Whenever you see the person, try to talk to the person in English. Don't hesitate. Don't be complex. Just talk to the person. This is how the things are started. So in this point, it will be for people who are starting to learn the language to understand that there is no one who just wake up one day and become excellent at the language. Everyone has learned the language until they become at it. However, no one cannot be perfect in any language. You see, no matter how excellent you is in the language, it's still many words that you don't know in the language, and it's still there are many things that also you don't know. So we is still learning. So that's part of life. And then it is very important and good to understand that the language is not a difficult language. To me, it's a very easy one. Why it is easy, especially for those who have been to French school. It is very easy for those people if they are really concentrated and practicing the language. In a short time, they can become good at the language, because the only effort that they're making is the pronunciation. All the other efforts that I did myself when I went to learn the language, they're not doing that things. Imagine someone that they used to hold your hands and show you how to write A and B, and they're telling you that from the left to the right, not from the right to the left. So all those efforts that I did myself, many Senegalese young people are not doing those efforts nowadays. Why? Because they had the opportunity to go to the French school. They know how to write, they know how to read, they understand a lot of things. So then it is very important them to understand that they already have the 80% of understanding the language. So the 20% is the rest that they have to make to get everything that they want.
And like I have said time and time again, it's a perfect exercise to watch a movie you have already watched in French, in English, with the subtitles, just to get more vocabulary, to understand English, the structure of sentences and all that. I think it's a great exercise. Like, take your favorite TV show that you have already seen hundreds of times in French, and try to watch it in English with the subtitles. It's a great exercise to get more vocabulary and maybe to be just more fluid or better your understanding of English, even like pronunciation and just hearing people talk. I think it's a great exercise.
It is.
We have only 2 minutes left, so maybe do you have a final advice or tip before we?
The final advice will be just, in addition to what you have said, it's very important to watch movies in English, or watch some documentaries in English, or some speech in English. Some people will just say that, okay, me, whenever I'm watching CNA or BBC, I have problem to understand them. Yeah, that's the beginning. It's normal. Or when I'm watching some movies, it's a problem for me to get it. But I think what you said is very important. Like, you watch the movie with subtitles. It can help you a lot. You are learning. So take your time. Don't be in a hurry while watching it. You do pause from time to time to look at the word. You have your dictionary. Because nowadays, we have all the tools to become good in anything that you are studying nowadays, whether it's from your phone or from the TV or the other things. So then you have the tools to be good at the language. The only thing that you need to do is just, to be focused and listen, even if you don't get nothing from the beginning. After you will get it. because it is the starting for you. Then your ears don't have the habit of listening those kind of things. That's why they pronounce it very fast for you. Yeah. You see, but when you listening it again and again, you will see that your ears will start getting the habit. Even the speaking is like that. Sometimes some people say, okay, whenever I study speaking, I have problem of, saying what I want because I lose my word or I forget them. I say, it's normal because you don't have the habit to speak it. You don't used to do it. So it's normal. Sometimes it's difficult for your tongue, to pronounce the word or to say them. But when you did one time, two times, so at the end, you will see that you become, having the habit of doing the things. So I think that will be the last things for people to understand that the language is not a difficult language. It's a very easy language. And the only thing that they need to do is to get focused and learn it. And know also it is very important to learn English nowadays because it's an international language.
Like I always say, you can go to any airport in the world and you'll find someone who speaks English.
Sure.
That's it for this week. Thank you, dear listeners, for listening to Emo Men. I am Mustafa Gabal Job and I was with Abdoul Tambadou.
Yeah.
For E-Moment on E-Radio 90.3. Stay tuned for more programs on E-Radio. Thank you very much.
Good. Thank you.